Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my Game of Thrones Legends mobile game content. Yes, you see it. You see it right. There is new content out in the wild and I want to talk to you about it. One of the reasons why I want to bring these images and a little bit of a discussion about the skills for these new characters and this new content is because as I learned on my Discord, whenever people started posting this stuff yesterday, after we got the patch notes for the latest patch that was dropped on December the 2nd, which was yesterday, I had a lot of people on my Discord that night starting to post these images, and they were saying, hey, this is in my game. So what we determined was there was a stealth drop of some information that was in the game, but it's only for some people. Now, if you've been a long-term player of Game of Thrones Legends, you're familiar with the drill on this one. Some people get updates and some people don't. Some people get content that others don't see for a while. There's still quite a few people that still don't have their pity meter on their summons, and, you know, it just goes on and on and on, but this is another example of content that some people have and some people don't. Now, keep in mind that you are not able to summon these characters yet because there has not been a summon event dropped for them yet, but they are in game, and I knew this anyway because we've been sitting on these images for a while. Me and my partner, the Digital Gandalf, the guy that does the data mining, has, you know, found this stuff a long time ago, and we've been sitting on it looking at it, waiting for the right moment to post it. And now that people are saying, hey, it's in my game, and they started throwing it up all over my Discord last night, it was like a Christmas tree lit up, bing, 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 all these posts of all these pictures. It's safe to post now because it's in the game, so nobody can deny it. So I'm free to talk about it right now. So one of the new characters that you can see is a yellow. It is a legendary, and it's an Ice Warden. So it's basically the White Walkers. But one of the curious things about it is it has no faction. Now, I don't know if that's something that will be fixed later, or if it's intended to be this way. I don't really know, but I am confused as to why there is no White Walker faction with this hero, because as you'll see here in just a little bit, there are more of the White Walker heroes added to the game, not just this one. There are 3 that I can talk about right now because they've been actually found in other people's clients. Now, keep in mind, like I said, not everybody has this. So if you look in your game and you don't see this, it will be there eventually. Some people just got an early drop based on probably the region that they were in, or that they were selected to be a tester of new content or whatever. But nobody can really play with these yet. But we can look at them basically and see their skills at this time. So he's a yellow, he's a legendary, he's obviously a White Walker. They call him the Ice Warden. He has no faction, but he is in game. He is a protector, by the way, so you can see that right there. And then if we go down, we can look at one of his skills, Stab of Cold. It is a stamina speed slow, and it's a damage skill that adds a debuff. The Warden deals 75% attack unnatural damage to all enemies, with a 75% chance to inflict them with fear. So if you'll notice, he is an AoE hero. He does AoE damage, which attack all enemies, basically, is what AoE means. Area of effect. And he inflicts them with a new status ability called Fear. I had a graphic somewhere about what the fear mechanic meant, and I have lost it at this time. I'm sorry. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, so I went and dug that up and I found that new status ability. This is a new status ability. I'm pretty sure I have not seen this on any other character before, but Fear it delays the enemy's basic attack, preventing damage and stamina gain. So yeah, I don't know. Stamina prevents stamina gain. So possibly could this be a really good character to use against our new greens that do a lot of stamina boosting? Or could it be good to use against free cities or anything like that that boosts stamina? I don't know. It's interesting, but it delays the enemy's basic attack, preventing damage and stamina gain. So that's your new status effect that's going to come into game with the Ice Warden, the Knight Spear. He is an AoE hero. He does unnatural damage, so that's a damage type, and a 75% chance to inflict them with fear. And that's on his level 1. Okay? Then if we look at it, the rest of his traits, he is a leader, so he has the ability to have a leadership ability, and it's called They Weren't Dead. When an ally reinforces, if the Warden is your team leader, that ally is pacified for 4 turns and gains 50% stamina and 5% defense. So I guess I'm not really sure what reinforces and pacifieds mean, because I didn't pull those up and save those descriptions so that I could have them to talk about in this video. I'm sorry I didn't do that. I should have. But that ally is pacified for 4 turns and gains 50% stamina and 5% defense. So I don't know if that means 50% of the stamina they have at the time this skill is cast. So if your bar is over halfway full, does that mean you get it full? I don't know. That's gonna have to be seen. Now, the pacified duration will decrease to 3 turns at 5-star. So I don't know. This is interesting because I don't really know the specifics on the reinforces and the pacifieds, but this is if he is your team leader. So, keep that in mind. One of the other skills is Winter's Advance. The Warden is immune to ice. So is this the Ice Team Kryptonite right here? I love it. I hate ice teams, especially in raids. Maybe I'll run this guy just to piss them guys off. I don't know. But he's immune to ice, but begins combat with negative 15% fire resistance. I'm really glad to see this. I am really glad to see these status effects that are applied based on common sense. This guy is a White Walker. He needs to be deathly afraid of fire. That's just all there is to it. I mean, how many times have we watched the Game of Thrones episodes where fire destroys all these guys, all this undead stuff? Everybody knows undead is weak to fire, so that's smart. I like that. When an ally reinforces, it gains stealth for 4 turns, and it affects the enemy team with Fear 1. Okay, so I don't know if that means fear stacks, but if you remember, it delays the basic enemy attack, preventing damage and stamina gain. So I don't know if that means it stacks fear 1. You can get multiple stacks of fear, possibly making the stamina gain worse. I don't know. That'd be interesting to see. Allies also gain ice immunity after reinforcing. So that's at 4 stars on the level 2. Allies gain immunity to ice. So I don't know if that means just these White Walkers or if everybody in the party can apply this. But if that's the case, that's cool, because then that means your party can now be immune to ice. Eat that, Ice Team. And then at 6 stars, fear is increased to 2. So I guess that means 2 stacks, because we're seeing fear 2 right here. So it must stack like bleed, like, the other abilities like ice, fire. It must stack. So that's cool. All right, so now let's look at the next one that popped into people's accounts, and that was Craster. He's a legendary. He is a red, and he is the Free Cities faction. Or not Free Cities, but, whatever it was that the people beyond the wall were. I can't remember. Free Folk faction. He is a mender. And that's kind of cool. I don't really know what the thinking was behind this as to why he's a mender, but I don't know. Craster's character was kind of weird in the show, so he could kind of just be all over the place, really, if you want to know the truth. So yeah, that's Craster. And then his skill is called Unholy Tribute. It's a normal. It's a shield, heal, and an unnatural damage, but it is a normal, so it will charge fairly quickly. Craster gains target ally. Craster grants target ally a 10% attack shield. Then he deals unnatural damage equal to 75% of his hit point pool to a random enemy. So that is pretty decent damage, especially if you get him powered up with some good defense gear and stuff like that, and get his health pool built up. Similar to Baelish has an 85%, I think, attack of his hit point pool, so that could turn into some sick damage. It really could. Just kind of remains to be seen, though. The shield is kind of cool. Grants a target ally. So you do target an ally, give them a shield, and then he does the damage to a random enemy. So I don't really know if I like Craster already, because I don't like skills that are randomish. That's one of the reasons why I don't like Purple Arya. She's ridiculously unusable because her skill is too hard to make work where you need it, and I don't like a skill that hits a random enemy. I want to tell that skill where to go, so probably more than likely not going to use Craster just on that right there alone. His other trait is a godly man. Whenever an ally gains a shield, if Craster is the team leader, he has a 50% chance to remove a debuff from himself, 5% defense. The shielded ally also has a chance for debuff to be removed. So he is a leadership available person. He has a leadership ability called a godly man, and I don't really see that that's that good of a leadership ability. So I will never use it. I can already tell you that. I can't even see a time when I would think that would be good. I really don't think that's good at all. It would never cause me to supplant Rhaenyra's leadership ability. That's just a given. That's always going to be in my party from now until the end of time. So yeah. Replenish the ranks. Whenever an ally is summoned, they are healed for 5% of their max HP. Then they gain a shield equal to 5% of Craster's hit point pool. So the shield could be pretty, substantial depending on how many hit points he has. But what is this? Whenever an ally is summoned, I don't know how that works. I really don't. How do you summon an ally? Are they not already in your party? I guess maybe you blow a horn and somebody in your party is considered summoned at that point. I don't know, but that's interesting. Interesting wording. How do you summon someone that's already in your party? I don't know. But we'll have to see that one to see how it works. Then at 4 stars, his level 2, Craster gains the same shield. So now he shields somebody else, and then he also gets that shield as well. And then at 6 stars, his shield is increased to 10% of his maximum hit points. So it's not just current hit points, it's maximum hit points. So even if he has 5 hit points at the time that you do this, and his max hit point pool is 20,000. he's going to do a percentage of his max hit point pool. So that's good, because that means that his shield ability will be strong no matter when he casts it, whether he's full health or about to die, or it doesn't matter. Okay, so Craster, I mean, he looks okay, but I'm not gonna plan on using him. I can already tell. Now, one that we've already talked about quite extensively, if you'll remember a few weeks back, I made a video leaking the image of him before it was ever announced, because I wanted you guys to know that something was on the way for the green team, because a lot of people were kind of depressed about the state of the green team at that time, and little did they know it was going to be massively buffed and some awesome new abilities added. I don't really like Aegon as a member of House of the Dragon TV show, but I will have to say that he has some skills that look pretty interesting. Even though I'm not a green team user, and that's not because I don't want to use the green team, it's just because I don't have any of the green team. I was never able to bring myself to use my summon tokens on anything but what I was actively pursuing, because I realized that spreading yourself too thin was a whale's task only, and I didn't have the money for that, even though I've already spent quite a bit of money on this game as it is. But I don't have him, so I won't use him, but I think his abilities are interesting. He is known as the true king. He is a yellow, and he is part of the green team. So now you've got a decent yellow option, which the green team did kind of lack. His skill, as fearsome as any, is a slow though. So it's going to take a while for this one to charge. It's an add buff, and it is a damage. For each birthright he has, Aegon II gains a plus 5% attack buff for 5 turns. He then deals 125% attack fire damage to a single enemy. So it sounds like you can select the enemy you want to put this on, because it doesn't say a random enemy. And he gets 5% attack buff on top of his 125% attack fire damage. And he starts the battle with like 10 birthright or something like that, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry, I'm not experienced green team user, but I think he starts the battle with 10 birthright. Obviously, it's going to take a minute to charge this skill up. So by the time you get it charged up, let's just say 6-7 turns into the battle maybe, because it's a slow, he may have 3 to 4 birthright left, so that may be 15-ish% added on top of this. So, you know, it could be a pretty good attack, but it is going to be fire-based damage as well. So that could be good against the White Walker type faction, or heroes, I guess, because it doesn't seem to have a faction labeled on them. But it is to just a single enemy. So while this skill doesn't really sound amazing, it's just kind of average, honestly. It's just not amazing in my opinion. It's not an AoE, therefore it causes me to not want to use him already, because I need AoE in my team. And, you know, that's just kind of an average sounding skill. Now, he is a leadership available ability hero. So his leadership ability, what should I do? Totally. And that's hilarious, because that's totally his character in the show. He just never really knew what to do. And he was easily manipulated. But yeah, what should I do? If Aegon II is the team leader, whenever he drops below 50% HP, all allies gain 3 birthright and plus 5% attack. At 5 stars, his level 2 ability triggers again when Aegon drops below 25%. So he's a generator. He is generating birthright. Honestly, by the time he gets to 50% HP, the 10 birthright that most of the green team starts with is probably already about gone. 3 birthright just kind of keeps it going, but it doesn't sound like it's like overdone type of thing. So it may be if you're going to run a solid green team, I guess it's an okay leadership ability, but I'm not convinced that there aren't better out there, because it's kind of conditional in that he needs to get below 50%, below 50%, and then below 25%. So you're going to have to let him die to get this ability. So yeah, but anyway, there's not really any way you can heal anyway. So yeah. Drinks for all. Aegon II begins combat with a +8 birthright and plus 75% stamina. He loses 1 additional birthright per turn, and when Aegon loses birthright, all allies with birthright gain 0.8% stamina. So, yeah, okay, I guess I was wrong. He does begin combat with 8 birthright. He loses 1 per turn. And if he loses birthright, when Aegon loses birthright, all allies with birthright gain plus 8% stamina. So every time he loses a birthright, which is every turn, all of his birthright ability allies, like, Otto, Aemond, and all of them, they'll gain 8% stamina. Now, I don't know if that means 8% of what a full bar for them would be, or excuse me, or 8% of what his bar is. I don't know how that works. We'll have to kind of see it in action to understand where it's drawing its stamina gain from. The 4-star level 2 of this ability, stamina gain for each birthright, is increased to 12%. Golly, man. Depending on how this is calculated and where it's calculated from, that could be huge. Especially if you're given that much stamina to each one of your people. If you have a full green team party that all has birthright, that could... So this is basically green team, free cities team. Right here. He's doing just like the free cities and granting stamina to each other. And eventually you'll get to the place where, well, I don't know. I don't think you can't really start the match with full stamina bars like the free cities team can, but you're going to increase your stamina gain for sure. So it's going to feel like it's rolling quite a bit. Aegon II begins combat with plus 10 birthright at 6 stars, so he does start with 10 birthright later on at 6 stars, so that's a little ways down the road, but that's quite a bit of birthright. Alright, so next we have a dragon. We have Aegon's dragon Sunfyre, the golden. It's a legendary, obviously. It is a blue, and it is part of the green team faction. So now the green team has a decent blue. That was kind of a sticking point for them before. He has a decent power rating. Has quite a bit of health and quite a bit of power. Wow. Pretty. I like that. That's really neat. It's interesting to see a dragon outside of the other dragons that we've already seen. Drogon, and the others, Viserion, Rhaegal. It's interesting to see a different dragon as a hero like this. I wonder, will he be part of the summons, or will you have to summon him through the Valyrian summon? I don't know. We'll have to see that to kind of understand how it's going to work. But I have a feeling that he'll probably be partnered with Aegon in a summon event. I don't think they would lock him behind the Valyrian summons like the other dragons. They're kind of a different thing. Sunfyre has a skill called Sky Full of Suns. It's a stamina speed very slow, so it's going to take forever for this one to charge up. I mean, it's going to take a minute. Oh my, the battle's going to be over with by the time you get this thing charged up. Sunfyre strikes a random enemy. Here we go again with this random enemy stuff. I don't like that. Dealing 50% attack fire damage and reducing the target's fire resistance by -2 for 3 turns. For each birthright on Sunfyre, this attack repeats. Okay, so this skill sounds terrible at the start because it's a random enemy I do not like that. It's not a very high percentage of damage, and it does reduce some fire resistance, which is not really that big a deal. Very particular as far as who you're fighting type of thing. But then this comes in. For ever how many birthright on Sunfyre this attack repeats. Now it does not specify if it repeats on the same random hero that you attack, or if it attack repeats on whoever at random. So it could bounce around all over the board. It could hit everybody on your team, or it could hit just one person that it randomly hit to start with. I don't know how that's going to work. But just imagine if you can actually generate enough birthright on Sunfyre to have about 6 to 8 birthright whenever he actually can get this charged up eventually, and then it goes off and it hits like 6 or 8 times. That could be pretty potent, but I honestly believe that because it's very slow, it's going to be so late in the battle that by that point it's not going to really matter. I think the battle's pretty much going to be done and decided by that point. And with if you come up against an AoE team that's just hammering you, it's going to take you so long to get this off that when you finally do, your team's dead. So I don't really know that this is going to be that potent of a skill. Now, if they were to ever go in and change this, they would have to go up because they couldn't go any farther down. This is as slow as it gets right here, very slow. But if they raise the speed on this skill sometime later in a tweak, attempt, and they buff that and make that skill be faster, then that could be a big problem. Because if that was a normal, oh my gosh, going off 8 or 9 times because he hasn't really lost a lot of his birthright, because it could charge pretty quickly, especially if you got quite a bit of blue, which I constantly have a ton of blue, but that's because I don't really have a lot of blue heroes, but the game always gives you the one you don't have. But anyway, yeah, this could be an issue if they were to ever adjust the speed. I honestly don't think it's going to be an issue, though, because I think it's just so slow that it's not going to matter at that point. Then we look at its traits. He does not have a leadership ability because a dragon cannot be a leader, but he has a trait called the King's Dragon. Sunfyre begins combat with +8 birthright and 75% stamina. When he accumulates birthright, he gains 15% stamina. Okay, all right. Oh boy, this just changed everything I just said, and I should have looked at this beforehand because I did not know. I hadn't really investigated every single one of these skills yet before I started to make this video, because I wanted to get this content out to you because a lot of people have not seen it, so I want you to see it. But now this changes the game, because it was very slow, and I was sitting here saying I didn't think you were ever going to really get it charged up fast enough to make a difference. But now you're starting the battle with 75% stamina. That's 3/4 of your bar is already full. All you got to do at that point is make a couple matches, and boom, you can set this off. And you're setting it off so quick that you probably still have quite a bit of birthright left, that's going to be potent. Okay, I changed my tune on that one. That's going to be potent. And plus, you're going to keep it going, because every time Aegon generates birthright for you, you're going to get 15% more stamina. So yeah, this is the Free Cities team on crack for green, is what I'm seeing. Stamina gain on birthright increased 20% at the 4-star, and at 6-star variant, Sunfyre begins combat with 10 birthright. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a potent dragon. I may have to get one of these just to put it in my team and see what's up. begins combat with 8 birthright and 75% stamina. That's the kicker right there. That's what does it right there. Beginning the battle with 75% stamina. At that point, all you have to do is make a couple blue matches and boom, you've got this off. And if you get lucky enough to start with a 4 blue match on turn 1, you could be setting this off turn 1. And then you're going to hit 8 times. And if you're 6-star, you're going to hit 10 times. Wow, that's crazy. And then the stats bonus is going to be plus 10% to attack. All right, so let's look at some of the other White Walker type enemies. The Unyielding Wight. This is also a protector. It's a green. The White Walker Warden, what was he, a purple? He was a... Yeah, no, he was a yellow. Okay, so he was a yellow, and now we've got a green, white. He is an epic, so he's not a legendary, but he is an epic. So let's look at his skills, because there are some pretty good epics in the game, so it's possible that this one could be good too. Unnatural Abomination. It's a damage, a physical damage, and a heal, and it's a slow, so meh. It's not too fast, but it's, you know, not as slow as the most possible slow one could be. The white deals 115% attack unnatural damage to a single enemy, then heals for 15%. So every time the white hits, he's going to heal. And you're going to get to choose where the damage goes, so that's good. It is a single target damage skill though, so I'm not really liking it for an AoE team, obviously, but it is cool that it can heal for 15%. Now, it does not say if he heals for 15% of the damage he does, or if he heals for 15% of his available hit point pool, or max hit points, or it doesn't say. So I don't know. We're going to have to test that one out. But that's a damage and a heal, so that's an interesting skill. It has a skill called Unyielding Wight. And Undying... Oh, that's the name of the hero. I'm sorry. It's the Unyielding Wight. His skill, his trait is Undying Terror. Whenever an enemy is defeated, the Wight gains Unending Horror. When the Wight is defeated, if they have Unending Horror, they revive with 20% hit points. Okay. So, let's unpack this one. This one's a little difficult to understand. Whenever an enemy is defeated, the Wight gains Unending Horror. When the Wight is defeated, if the Wight has Unending Horror, they revive with 20% hit points. Okay, so that applies to the Wight itself. Whenever he defeats an enemy, he gains Unending Horror, and if he dies, he revives. So it's just like Beric, just like Jon Snow. When they die, they revive. So when the Wight revives, this is at 4 stars. When the Wight revives, it deals 200% attack, unnatural damage to a random enemy. At 6 stars, hit points upon revive increased to 25% and damage increased to 225%. So it's a decent amount of damage, but that's at 6 stars and it's random enemy. So, I don't really like it, honestly. So I don't really think it's going to be that big a deal to deal with, because just like Beric and Jon Snow, when they revive, you can easily hit them again and kill them. That's never a problem dealing with the revival, because they revive with such low hit points that they're just really not an issue. So I think this one will just kind of not be an issue unless there's some kind of faction bonus with these things. But like I said, they don't have a faction assigned, so I don't really get that. I don't know why the White Walker theme stuff does not have the White Walker faction. Is that by design, or is that just coming soon, or I don't know. I don't get it, really. Then the last one that I want to talk about tonight is the Skeletal Wight, the Decayed. It's a common. It is a purple. And it doesn't really have very great stats to speak of, but it is a common, so, you know, it is what it is. Its skill is called Granting Death, Stamina Speed Fast. So it is a fast skill, so it will charge up quickly. The Wight strikes 3 random enemies for 30% attack and natural damage. Each strike has a 60% chance to inflict that enemy with fear. Okay, so depending upon how potent the fear status is, you know, it could be good. Or it could not be. I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of like a Northern Brawler or something like that. Even though Northern Brawler is a really good character, it kind of does similar things. It strikes 3 random enemies though, so it's not technically an AoE because it doesn't hit all enemies. There could be 5 and you could miss 2 of them, so it doesn't really fit the bill for an AoE, but it does hit quite a few targets though. I mean 3. And depending upon how tough this status effect is, I don't know. And it is fast though, so it will charge up quickly. It's a purple, so it kind of fits in really nicely with what we've seen so far. So I don't know, we'll have to see on that one. Then his traits. The Skeletal Wight, the first time the Wight is defeated, it revives with 30% hit points. Then at 6 stars, its hit points upon revive increases to 40%. It's got such a low hit point pool, honestly, though, that I just, even at 200 levels or whatever, I don't see that being a very big deal. I think you go back in and you hit it again one more time and it's gone, so it's not really going to be that big a deal. So I don't really think that's going to be very potent. But that's just a common though, you know, that's the way they've designed this game. Only legendaries matter, and in very few situations epics, you know, because they have really potent skills. And then everything else after that is just, they sit in your roster and they don't do anything. So, unless it's a faction bonus of some sort, I don't really see this being a player, really. So, just to recap real quick, we talked about the Skeletal Wight. These are all new heroes that were added to some people's accounts, not everybody. So if you don't have this in your account, don't gripe me out. It's not my fault. It's Zynga, the way they're developing this game and releasing content to some and not all. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but whatever. Skeletal Wight. And then we talked about the Unyielding Wight. Then we talked about Sunfyre, the good old best boy. This could be really good. We'll see. And then we talked about Aegon II and Craster. And we talked about the Ice Warden. So, not really sure what I think about any of these heroes yet. I think Aegon and Sunfyre, out of everything we've seen today, have probably the most potential. I am kind of meh on this White Walker stuff because it just doesn't really sound like it's going to be that effective. So unless the Night King comes out and has some super potent abilities that draws everybody into his faction or powers them up somehow, I don't really know how this is going to really be a thing. Maybe if there was 1,000 of those Wights and they died and regenerated all the time, that would be a handful. You know, like an endless tower, endless battle type mode type thing. That could be a problem. But right now, just in a party of 5, I just really don't see these being that potent. Like I said, Aegon and Sunfyre have the most potential out of anything I've seen so far. And because I'm not an experienced green team user, I'm not really 100% sure on how effective they are with what's already out there. I'll have to let my experienced compatriots that play green teams kind of give me some advice on that and let me know what they think. But anyway, that was the video for tonight. I just wanted to make sure to get this information out there to you guys so that the ones that haven't seen this content can. And if you haven't seen this stuff and you haven't been talking to us on our Discord about this, why not? The link to the Discord is in the description of all my videos. We have an open, thriving community that loves to talk about Game of Thrones Legends. And this stuff was posted yesterday on there by members that wanted to share it with other people. So you join the Discord, you get to see content before anybody else ever talks about it. And plus, I post stuff there all the time, because we know stuff before anybody else does, pretty much. So yeah, but anyway, thanks for watching my content. I appreciate your time, and I'm really looking forward to the new stuff coming. I hope you are too. Talk to you later.